They say that some realms belong to the living and others belong to the dead. But what happens when someone gets lost right in between? Hey, stranger. Elaine, Aeris here. Welcome to a telling of a unique story about some friends who encounter a woman lost in a cemetery, but that's not all. After this encounter, there's a bit of drama because these friends can't agree on what it is they actually saw. Why don't we dive into this story, shall we? Let me paint a picture for you. Upon entering very intricate iron gates, you start to wander through winding paths, and the deeper you get into this picturesque cemetery, the more the outside noises begin to die down, and you just hear birds and maybe some crickets. There are big, beautiful oak trees giving you shade. You feel sheltered. This place is where they bury the people who really matter. You know how I know that? Because these people have statues where they're buried. They have big weeping angels and towers, pointy towers. What are those called? Obelisks. And on top of that, there are some mausoleums. Okay, that's how you really know you've arrived. When you get your own little house as your final resting place. A little house. This is where our story takes place. One of those places. Hollywood-worthy cemetery. This story is titled, "A Woman in a Cemetery Asked Us for Help Finding the Way Out." Yesterday, my friend and I were walking in a very large cemetery, Forest Lawn in Buffalo, if anyone knows it. I'll pull up some images so you can really get a feel for the scenery. We've been in there a bunch before and know our way around, but it would be pretty confusing if you're not familiar with it or don't have a map. We were walking, and down a side path, we saw a woman walking toward us, about 100 feet away from us. We decided not to go down that path and kept going forward. About 2 minutes of walking has gone by, and all of a sudden that woman was a few feet from us, asking how to get out of the cemetery. We were startled because I don't even know how she got to us so quickly. But she was elderly, 75 to 80 years old, I'd say. I know of few very spry 75-year-olds who might take offense to being called elderly. 75 is the new 60, I think. She was very thin, about 5'7", and frail. She was wearing a light linen blouse and pants set. She had very short hair and some eyeliner on. She had a white hat with red polka dots on it. When she was talking, she seemed okay to me, just confused. I immediately had my guard up because I'm always thinking something could be a setup to get murdered. This is an issue I have, I know, but better to be safe than dead, especially in a ginormous place with no other people in sight. Okay, so if you're in Buffalo, I sort of understand that. Now that I'm in the South, my guard has gone down substantially compared to when I was closer to the LA area. I was always worried that something was going to go down because it very well could. In that area, there were a lot of people packed in, and the more people you have around, the more unpredictable things get, and the more stressed out and desperate people get. An elderly woman, is that usually perceived as a setup? I mean, I suppose if you're in a cemetery, it would be very convenient. You don't even have to travel. No hearse required. Just dig a hole, roll them on in, and call it a day. We got closer to her, and she told us she left everything on in her apartment and came here and now didn't know how to leave. What do you mean she left everything on? Like all the lights? What does she mean? She told us the location of the entrance she came in from and said it's by the corner store. There are lots of winding paths, so we're trying to be as specific as possible to get her where she's talking about. As I reach my phone out to show her on the map, I realize she doesn't have a phone on her or anything like that. Huh. I know she is old, but I'd say that most people have cell phones of some sort these days, especially if you have kids, relatives, friends, whatever. Especially if you're going to be taking an outing that you'll be traveling quite a ways on foot. Anything could happen. That is odd. We decided she'd go in that direction, and then we walked away from her. As we were walking away, we both said we had a weird feeling about her. I told her I was scared to get close to her because she could lure us somewhere, which again is not a good way to look at people. I know. She said she also felt an off vibe about her, but she really wanted to help her, just didn't want to offer my car to drive her. While we're talking this through, I said she kind of looked like she escaped from a hospital, but I couldn't really figure out why literally at all. It didn't sound like she was dressed like someone who had escaped from a hospital. Interesting thought. She disagreed and thought she must just live around there in the village, which would definitely make more sense. A couple minutes in of us talking, and I realized I recognized that kind of behavior because my grandma had dementia, and she'd often leave her house and not even know where she was when she left or how to get home. Aw. We got back to my car and decided we're going to look for her in the cemetery. We drove through there a few times and could not see her anywhere and couldn't understand how she could have walked that fast out, but hoped that was the case. Very likely, either she encountered someone else who was able to help her get out, or they gave her very good directions to get out. Later on, I had my friend over and we were telling my fiance the story. I described her appearance to him and mentioned her polka dot hat. My friend was shocked and said she was not wearing a polka dot hat, but she saw her in a straw type of hat, so maybe kind of like this one. I am also 100% confident it was the polka dot hat. I looked everywhere on the internet for something similar and could only find this beret in the image. So this image is the example that was attached to the story on Reddit. This is the closest thing she could find that describes what she remembers seeing. Low in stock, only one left. Grab it quick. So the other hat is what she said she saw. Okay, so this is what the friend saw, and this is similar to what OP saw here. What do you guys think of this? I have been trying to understand how we'd remember something so different. She said when we were driving around looking for her, she was looking for that straw hat, which is crazy because I was specifically looking for that polka dot hat. The rest of how she looked matches us, though, from our memories, just the hat. I know this sounds crazy, and brains are crazy, but considering the place and what she was saying, it just feels very interesting. I know that as a whole, eyewitness testimony is unreliable in a court of law. One person's account of events can often be very different from another's, especially in situations that are emotionally charged. And although this wasn't a scary confrontation, it sounds as though OP is already a little jumpy when it comes to communicating with strangers, especially if you think an elderly person is going to lure you into some sort of plot. That would be bonkers. But that is so odd, how they could have completely different memories about what it sounds like the most distinct thing about this woman's outfit. I'm going to quiz you really quick. Quick, describe my hat. Off of memory, don't cheat, comment below, what do you remember? And if you guess correctly, you win my undying admiration and virtual pineapple. What we have here is a bit of a black and blue dress situation. Is the dress blue and black, or is it gold and white or whatever, which clearly the dress was obviously blue and black. Anyone who's worked with any sort of color correction knows that when lighting shifts, stuff looks less saturated, like freaking duh. And if you were one of the white and gold dress people, get it together, man. That was the dumbest internet drama ever. I remember so I was talking with someone about it who was playing devil's advocate about it, and they were saying it was gold and white just to piss me off, I swear, because as a graphic designer, unfortunately, I've worked with a lot of imagery and my brain just knew what it was. Am I just going off on something that is before or after your time? I don't know. But that whole thing was ridic. That was RE : subject line dick. I'm very curious about some of the comments on this story. I want to know what people think here. I had a very similar experience in a cemetery once. An old-ish woman, maybe in her 60s, stopped me at a crossroads in a cemetery in St. Petersburg and very quietly asked me a question, which I didn't hear at first. So I asked her to repeat herself, and she said, "Do you know if there's a way out of here that way?" and gestured toward the river. I said, "No, I don't think so. You'll want to go the other way to get to the main road. Which road are you looking for?" And she was like, "I'm not really looking for a road. I'm just wandering around, reliving my youth." And at that point, I was like, okay. And I turned to gesture toward the road again. And as I turned, she grabbed my arm. Her hand was burning. And she said, "It doesn't matter. I'll be lying down tomorrow anyway." What? Loose translation from Russian. She could have meant she'd be resting tomorrow. But I have no idea how that was pertinent to the situation. What? So I absolutely do think it's possible that you ran into a soul in limbo, especially because there was a physical disparity in your perceptions of her. In my case, I was cutting through the cemetery with my son, who was 4 at the time, and he did not acknowledge the woman at all. He's usually weird around strangers and gets tense. Here he didn't react at all. Even when she grabbed their arm? So OP comes in. Interesting story. The woman we spoke to said as she was walking away from us that she had been yelling for us repeatedly when she was first approaching, but we didn't hear her until she was literally a couple feet from us. And she said it must have been the wind that made us not hear her, but it wasn't particularly windy or loud. She was yelling for us, like yelling from a void. Yelling from a void of lost souls? Hey, how do I get out of here? The fuck if I know, I'm alive. I had a similar experience in a cemetery where I couldn't hear my aunt from around 20 feet away. I hate to even say this, but dead space. Not like the space between conversations, but a place where things are consecrated and sacred, maybe. Dead space. Oh, that is weird. I don't have even an offer of an explanation for that. How strange. Maybe it's some kind of radius of potential contact with the living or something. What? This was my theory as I was reading. Could she have worn a polka dot bandana or wrap over her head with the hat on top? A lot of older women do that. And OP, I specifically remember it being an all white hat like the beret with red polka dots. To me, it did look strange, but the people in that neighborhood dress in interesting ways, so I figured it was just that. And to my friend, she saw no polka dots at all. Sigh, lol. Polka dots are very distinct pattern. If you have observed someone in a polka dot attire, you are very likely to have remembered that pattern. Now, there are much more abstract and intricate patterns that might get confused and jumbled up in your memory, but polka dots are very distinct. Okay, here comes someone else. It was likely a big straw hat with a polka dot band. This was exactly what I originally thought, but she swore up and down that is absolutely not what she saw, so I'm like, I can't speak about the hat situation, but Forest Lawn is absolutely huge. Beautiful cemetery. I still get lost in there. It sounds like she has dementia, maybe left her phone at home and was confused. Yes, that possible truth really worries me, and I regret not helping her more. I'm sure she found her way. Smiley face, heart. I usually avoid speaking to people at cemeteries. You never know what mind space they're in. True. She was a ghost trying to get out of the cemetery. That's probably why she gave you a weird feeling and why you and your friend saw her wearing different hats. She may feel trapped in the cemetery. Who's to say what they saw, huh? So the general consensus is dementia. The theoretical and eerier consensus is ghost wandering in limbo between the realm of the living and the realm of the dead. Sometimes when you are communicating with someone whose mind isn't all there, they do seem off. It's almost as if their soul is slightly disconnected somehow. I think I need to take off this hat because I think it's giving me a bit of a headache crammed here on my hairs. Do I have hat hair? Ooh. Oh, and if you're curious about my outfit thingy, okay, my little dress I got going on here it's gothic. It's got the little crucifix there. Very gothic, very velvety and dark. I love it. This outfit is by Vozigoth. Hop online, use my promo code. It's probably going to be overseas for you, so it might take a minute to get your goods, but it's worth it because it's pretty, okay? Good things come to those who wait. All right. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next weekend, maybe. Bye-bye.